Hello amigos, ¿cómo están? My name is Dan and welcome back to the channel. Bit of a bonus video for you guys for today. I've got the day off work. I thought, you know what, Arsenal and Chivas haven't played so far. It's not really quite the weekend yet, being Friday. So I thought, you know what, I'll do a bonus video all about Mexico actually. I haven't done a video from Mexico for a while. We're going to talk about some of the injuries that has affected some of the Mexico players. Some of the wild kind of things that have been going on the internet. Maybe, you know, namely Hurt Gomez's thing about Gilberto Mora. I'll be talking about him. But the first thing I want to talk to you guys about, and the main thing obviously, is the goalkeeping situation. The goalkeeping situation in Mexico has been a bit worrying anyway over the last year or so. You know, with Malagon and Tala Rangel basically competing for that number one goalkeeping spot. And both of them haven't really claimed it, you know, outright. Both of them have had decent, you know, experiences with the national team, and not so decent experiences as well. Both of them have been embarrassed in their own ways. And yeah, obviously Guillermo Ochoa kind of lurking around in the background as well. Padilla over there in Atletico in Spain is, you know, I think he's going to be a good goalkeeper in the future, but he's not anywhere near the close to the national team yet. So it's really just been about Malagon and Tala basically, and Aguirre's really been giving both of them a real good chance to prove themselves. And I think both of them haven't quite, like I said, outright claimed it. Now, obviously, I've touched it in the last Chivas video. If you haven't watched that yet, watch it, because it's all about the Clásico Tapatío and the victory over there. Also in that lovely shirt, it arrived yesterday, which is awesome. So yeah, obviously the news came out. I touched on it again in the video that Malagon has done his, I think it's his ACL, and he's out for the World Cup now. Confirmed, unfortunately. First thing I want to say is, obviously, as a Chivas fan, as a Mexico fan, it's devastating for the national team. Obviously, you know, Tala Rangel, I think, in my personal opinion, is the better goalkeeper. Malagon was definitely going to go anyway, and I think he was going to be a good competition for Rangel. I think, you know, if Malagon had started the first game against South Africa, I probably wouldn't have been too devastated with it. But I always felt like Rangel's got I think he's the better goalkeeper right now, being 3 years younger than Malagon. And I also think he's got the higher ceiling as well. And I really do think Rangel does have a European future in front of him. So, but this isn't the way I wanted to go about it. I didn't want Rangel to get the number one spot because Malagon got injured. I don't wish an injury on anyone. And I hope that, you know, there's a lot of Chivas fans out there that are like me, that are respectful about it. And Malagon, you don't want players getting injured, no matter who they play for in terms of club. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first. I'm not celebrating Malagon getting injured. I'm not going, yes, this means that, well, you know, Tala's got the number one spot now. I didn't want it to happen like this. I wanted Rangel to outright earn it. And I feel like he was on the cusp of doing that. I think he had a good last couple of games for Mexico, and I think he might have started one of the Portugal or the Belgian game coming up. But devastating, to be honest with you, and it's a real knock on the national team, because it's like, wow, like Tala Rangel is undoubtedly now the number one goalkeeper. I fully expect Rangel to start the game, at least the game against South Africa in the first game, and then go from there. But who else do you take now? Obviously Ochoa, he's doing alright, you know, in his club career, I guess, but, you know, at his age, obviously it'd be really nice for him to get the record. I think it would be 6 World Cups that he would go to if he does go to this one. Wouldn't mind it, to be honest with you, because of his experience. I mean, he blatantly knows he's not going to be starting any games in the World Cup unless Mexico qualify by game 3 or 4, whatever, and but the last game, should I say, and then obviously, you know, if it's a throwaway game and you want to get a bit of rotation, maybe he starts, but otherwise you should know it'd be a catastrophic decision, I think, to start Ochoa in any World Cup game in this World Cup. But I love Ochoa, you know, don't take me for another hate. I love Ochoa. Ochoa is one of the reasons why I became a Mexico fan in the first place. You know, his performance in the Brazil World Cup against Brazil, that game will always be one of my highlights for me of witnessing. And that was such an amazing game, and it was life-changing for me because I became a Mexico fan from that game. So I love Ochoa. Now I don't mind him going, but you should never be starting a game in the World Cup. And for me, it's Tala Rangel. That's the obvious choice now. And I see a lot of American fans online just outright ignoring him. Like, oh, it must be Acevedo or Ochoa or maybe Padilla. Well, Tala Rangel was the blatant obvious choice now. Not the way I wanted it to happen, but it is what it is. This is the reality now. Tala Rangel is the number one goalkeeper for the Mexican national team now. Like it or hate it, it's the fact. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because I feel like he's still getting disrespected. I think he's doing all right. He's doing an amazing good job for them, for Chivas. And there's a reason why there's a heck of a lot of Chivas players in the national team at the moment. He's not going to be the only one. So I just wanted to get out of the way first. Obviously, people seem to be glossing over Rangel for some reason. It's like, well, he's the obvious choice to be in the national team. Acevedo ain't up for it. Padilla, like I said, I think will become a national team coach, goalkeeper eventually, but not yet. He's not ready yet. Maybe he still goes. Maybe that spot is open to him now. We'll have to wait and see. Acevedo, I think probably will go just because of his experience, his age, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know who you think the other two goalkeepers are. I feel like Ochoa is going to be there because of his experience. Let me know who you think the third goalkeeper is. Maybe it's a goalkeeper I haven't mentioned that you think should go. Going on to Gilberto Mora, obviously, Herc Gomez has come out. He's come out on Twitter, basically said, or not just Twitter, on his podcast as well, basically saying that Mexico's hopes for the World Cup rest on Gilberto Mora. Bit of a stretch, in my opinion. Obviously, Mexico with Mora is way better than without him. Obviously, he's been injured a little while, but he's 17 years old. This is, I think, his first serious injury. He's been out for a few months. Not ideal, because obviously you want him playing regularly and doing well and being match fit and, match sharpness and all that. But there's plenty of time still. There's still like 3 months left before the World Cup starts. I don't know how close he is to getting back, but I presume it's not that much longer. But resting the whole national team's hopes on a 17-year-old is a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. And, Herc Gomez obviously is Mexican. He's more Mexican than I am, obviously. And, he has obviously more right to talk about it than I do. But I feel like with football in mind, I think Herc Gomez is a USA fan. And I feel like we should be taking everything that he says about the Mexican national team with a huge grain of salt. Because, if somebody comes down to him and says, look, USA or Mexico win the World Cup, pick one, he's going to pick the USA. So everything he says is, even the positive, kind of feels like a backhanded compliment, in my opinion. Unless it's Gilberto Mora, who, someone like that, that's undoubtedly a positive for the national team. He has to speak up on it because obviously it's undoubtable. But having said that, I think Mora does make it to the World Cup, but I think he's the only player that Mexico's hopes rest on. I really do think that Hormiga, Armando Gonzalez has an amazing effect on this national team. I feel like he will get called up. If he does, I'll get his name on the back of another shirt, hopefully. I think he will get called up. I think he will play regularly in the World Cup, and I think he'll do well. I think it will be his Chicharito moment. It feels like I was talking to a mate of mine actually on YouTube, in the YouTube comments on my Chivas video. It does feel like Hormiga is a little bit of a Chicharito regen at the moment. He's having a really good career with Chivas, and big European clubs like Dortmund are already in for him. There's no reason to think that we won't be taking him to the World Cup. Obviously, Raul Jimenez is doing brilliantly for Fulham. He's obviously going to be starting the first game, in my opinion. Santi Jimenez makes it as well, even though he's just coming back from an injury himself, and he hasn't been doing that great for AC Milan. I still feel like he's going to go. I think it'd be crazy not to take Jimenez. And I think Armando Gonzalez is the third striker. Having said that, Berterame might take it. Quinones as well might take it, but I feel like it would be outrageous, unless he's not fit, it would be outrageous not to take Hormiga, in my opinion. But there's an injury crisis going on at the moment with Mexico. Marcel Ruiz is out at the moment. We're still waiting to see on how serious that is. The guy is so unlucky. He should be playing in Europe already. Outrageous that he's still playing in Liga MX. He should have been in Europe years ago. This is where Mexico, Liga MX has to step it up a bit. Ruiz had it in him to be the next, Hector Herrera, playing in a top European team. And at the moment he's injured, he possibly misses out on the World Cup, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Obviously, at the end of this month, Portugal and Belgium, the last two friendlies before the World Cup, they'll be interesting games to watch. It'll be interesting to see what kind of players the Euro picks up for that team, or picks up for those two games, especially the starting 11s. I do fully expect Rangel to play at least one of those two games. Just to give him some match sharpness, give him some comfortable connections building with the Mexico defense. But I feel like one of the other games will be testing out another goalkeeper, whether it be Acevedo or Ochoa. Maybe Ochoa gets called up. There's massive rumours that he's going to be in that team for the that squad for these two last friendlies. So it's going to be interesting. Not ideal though. Malagon, would have been a great player to have in this squad. I think he may have started the first game. Who knows? But it's devastating the way that's happened. But look, I think there's a massive amount of young players coming through. That by the next World Cup in 4 years' time, I feel like could be ready. I think Gonzalez will be in Europe having a really good career by the next World Cup. I think there's other players as well. I'm not going to list them all, but I think Moore as well will be an established European player by then. And yeah, I mean, being on home soil, even in the US, is home soil basically for the Mexican national team. I think it would be really great to see them play. I think they do have the opportunity to get out of the group stage. South Korea, I think, is beatable. Sun, I don't know whether Sun's going to be in that squad, but I feel like without him, I think they're beatable. South Africa might be a bit of a dark horse. But we'll have to wait and see. And I'm not going to go through the rest of the tables and whatever. Not yet, anyway. I'll save that for a nearer the time video. But yeah, let me know what you think about these injuries right now. I think every national team is starting to get these injuries now. Seems to be a bit of a curse. Every national team will lose a player that they would normally take. But I feel like Rangel deserves the opportunity to be Mexico's number one now. But goalkeeping position, like I said, is a worry in general for the Mexican national team. But having said that, Chivas have created really good goalkeepers. I'm sure other teams in Liga MX have got a couple of gems in their youth systems as well. So I feel like, in 5 years or so, there'll be way more better options out there. But Mexico and Liga MX have got to get better at sending their players to Europe because, if you want a really strong national team, they have to be an established top 5 league in Europe. There's a reason why Mexico has done well in the past, and that's because most of their team has been in Europe, in European clubs. So yeah, anyway guys, let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about the goalkeeper situation more, and all Ruiz as well, and all the other injuries. I think Mateo Chavez is injured as well. I don't think that's too serious though, but he blatantly goes to Europe. He blatantly goes to the World Cup as well. I think Gallardo probably starts just. I don't know how that happens, but Mateo Chavez should be in that squad. Huesca as well. I think he's just coming back from his injury finally. He was doing really well over there in Copenhagen. Hopefully he can get back to that kind of form soon, but yeah, let me know what you think about this video. Obviously I want to try and do more Mexico videos going forward. I have neglected that kind of side of my channel for a while. I've been focusing on Chivas and Arsenal so much. It's nice to talk about Mexico every once in a while, so let me know if you like that. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend as well, and I'll see you guys early next week for the Arsenal and Chivas game. So yeah, take it easy guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Adios.